This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I am sure that a lot of you are driving home right now from the Boogie Down Bronx. If you were there for the Yankee game, I'm sure that a lot of you watched the Yankee game. And if you're a Yankee fan, I am sorry. I'm a Met fan, and I went through this during the NLCS, and I know exactly how you feel. I think you don't need a lecture from me, but I think you need to try and look at the bright side. You still were the American League champions, and you made it to the dance. You made it to the World Series. You did better than 28 other professional baseball teams. So congratulations to the Dodgers and their fans, but to all the Yankee fans in our audience, I know exactly how you feel and what you're going through, so I sympathize. It would have been a nice thing for New York if there was a big old ticker tape parade and exactly the kind of thing that we could use to lift our spirits right now. But alas, it is not to be. On the plus side, I did make mention of our station's incredible ratings yesterday from top to bottom. Well, I did get a look at the ratings for the overnight show, and we are, I'm very proud to say, once again, number one in all of New York City between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. That's in the category of 6+, which is every radio listener over the age of 6, but we're also number one in adults 55+. So we've won demo after demo. I could keep going in all the other demos that we're number one in. The point is, we're beating everybody. AM, FM, everybody. And the reason I mention that is not to brag, although I'll be honest, I am pretty proud of that, but to thank you, because I recognize that the whole reason this show is doing well and we're getting all these accolades is because of you and your support of this show and your evangelism of this show, and I hope you'll keep at it and we'll keep doing what we do. But also, I really think that the unique way in which we do this show, in which we cover a little bit of everything, this could be a model for every radio station, every radio show in the country. There's no reason that every radio show has to just be about one thing, all politics or all sports or all aliens or all whatever. You can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I think that sort of what Curtis might call the hobo stew, that kind of hobo stew is something that listeners really welcome. And I think it's been one of the keys to our success. So thank you to everybody that made us being number one on WABC possible yet again.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
I'm Cindy Lauper. My psoriasis was all over, even on my scalp, which may mean 4 times the risk for psoriatic arthritis. But Cosentyx works on both.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis 300 milligram dose and adults with active psoriatic arthritis 150 milligram dose. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at Cosentyx.com or 1-844-COSENTYX. Ask your doctor about Cosentyx.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. The end of the Star Ledger's print edition is an incredibly sad moment, not just for those who've cherished the paper for decades, but also as a sign of what's happening to print media as a whole. I've always felt, and Ralph Nader agrees, at least in the conversations that we've had on this program, that there's something uniquely powerful about reading black and white newsprint. It's not just nostalgic, it's a very different experience. Sitting down with a printed paper is a focused moment, free from internet distractions, where we take in news more thoughtfully. When you're flipping through a physical paper, you stumble upon stories and headlines you might never click on in a digital format. It's that serendipitous discovery that enriches our understanding of the world around us, and in my case, helps me prepare for a radio show. With the Star Ledger moving online only and the Jersey Journal shutting down completely after 157 years, New Jersey is losing not only journalism, but also the very form of journalism that invites us to slow down and take it all in. This is kind of what I was going over with Dominic Carter during yesterday's show about these news deserts continuing to pop up. The Jersey Journal's closing in particular hits hard. It's the only paper covering Hudson County, home to so many communities and historic neighborhoods. It means fewer people at city council meetings, fewer local voices on the issues that directly affect citizens, and for the Star Ledger, which has informed New Jersey residents on a grander scale, going digital may be financially sensible, but it's not the same. A screen just doesn't replicate the experience of spreading out the paper and engaging with it on your own terms, cutting out articles, highlighting articles, marking up articles. I hope print media finds a way to survive, even if only in a smaller form. But honestly, I'm not terribly optimistic. The world is shifting rapidly to digital, and as a result, we're losing a piece of our culture, one that has defined how we learn, think, and connect with our communities. Today, we've lost a part of New Jersey's story. Let's hope that the end of print is not going to be here soon, but rather this is a pause until we recognize what we truly lost. We'll see. My hope is that the company that owns the Star Ledger doesn't decide to do the same thing with the Staten Island Advance, a newspaper I look forward to getting on a weekly basis and which my newspaper carrier, Donna, does a yeoman's job in delivering regularly. Donna also occasionally calls in to this show. May print live forever, no matter how naive that sounds.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Jaywalking is now legal in New York City. The decriminalization of jaywalking in New York marks a notable change, and while I'm not advocating for people to be hauled off to jail for crossing outside the lines, I have serious questions about whether this is the right approach. For decades, jaywalking laws have provided a basic structure for pedestrians and drivers alike. These regulations, albeit sometimes frustrating, foster consistency and ensure a certain level of predictability on our streets. It's not just about discouraging risky crossings. It's also about supporting public safety and order. And in a city as bustling as New York, that order matters. There's a harmony, a rhythm even, to how our streets operate when both pedestrians and drivers adhere to predictable patterns. And this change touches more than just street crossings. Remember the bad old days before Giuliani when squeegee men ruled intersections, intimidating drivers? The jaywalking law gave police a tool to manage not only unsafe street crossings, but also address other more persistent quality of life issues. Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse says it's about ending racial disparities in enforcement. And she's right, I guess. The majority of jaywalking tickets did go to Black and Latino people. But while ending selective enforcement is important, I'm not sure that scrapping the law outright is the best solution. This law now allows people to cross anywhere and against the light without penalties. But it also shifts more responsibility onto pedestrians. While they're free to cross as they please, they no longer have the right of way. Think about that. That's right. Pedestrians who jaywalk must yield to oncoming traffic, meaning the onus is on them to avoid collisions. This provision alone raises concerns about safety, especially in an era of distracted driving and e-bikes whizzing by at lightning speeds. Without some structure, we're practically asking for more accidents. I also worry about the impact on police effectiveness. Officers now have one less tool to address street issues that go beyond jaywalking. Sometimes those small interventions can prevent larger issues from taking root. Look, the concept of walking here is part of New York's cultural identity. And it's true. Most of us have jaywalked at one point or another, but this change represents a deeper shift in how we think about street order and public safety. As we move forward, we'll have to ask ourselves, are we sacrificing too much in the name of convenience and freedom to cross? For now, New Yorkers, step out at your own risk, and remember that even with the new rules, the streets of New York are no playground.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
So let's talk about the city's latest holiday gift to public school families. Monday, December 23rd, will now be a day off. This decision, which may seem last minute, comes after significant pressure from school communities. They argued that a one-day week before the break would result in very low attendance. Let's face it, most kids and teachers don't want to show up for just a single day of school before the holidays. A lot of people probably going away or making other plans. The push to cancel classes that day actually began, and this is where I love these stories. It's very much showing that one man can fight City Hall, or in this case, one child. It began with one dedicated 8th grader from Brooklyn, Isaac Regnier, who started a petition last year that gathered nearly 23,000 signatures. Isaac's message made its way up to City Hall, and Mayor Eric Adams took notice. At a celebratory press conference, Adams called Isaac's work a true example of how young people's voices can make a difference. The mayor even placed a live video call to Isaac during the school day, letting him know he'd officially won the day off for students citywide. Now, Isaac isn't the first one to push this. 5 years ago, a group of teachers managed to get a similar one-day week before the holidays canceled. Even then, many saw it as a bit of an odd scheduling quirk, considering that in the past, schools closed on Mondays like this when December 23rd fell right before the break. But as with most things in the city, opinions are split. Leonie Hameson, an education advocate, took to social media to say it was amazing. The mayor held a high-profile press conference about a decision that probably should have been common sense from the start. Some point out that with all the additions to the school calendar, extra days off for holidays like Eid, Lunar New Year, and Diwali, the education department has fewer options to balance the calendar, meaning they must be careful to meet the state-mandated 180 school days. But will this change throw off the city's school calendar for the year? Probably not. The city won't add an extra day to compensate for canceling December 23rd. Instead, the Department of Education says they'll still meet the 180-day requirement, thanks in part to remote learning options on inclement weather days and the ability to count certain teacher training days. In the end, This extra day off seems like a win. Sure, for some of us parents, this means having to shuffle plans. My wife, for example, will have to use yet another vacation day to watch our son Carmine, who now has a solid 9-day winter break. My goodness. But if I'm honest, I really can't argue with the reasoning here. Who would expect full attendance for a single day before the holidays? Ultimately, it's a practical decision, and it shows that sometimes a student's voice can make just the right amount of noise.
Beam me up.
To be continued.